What happens when the voice that once led thousands in worship becomes the subject of a sexual assault investigation? Imagine if Chris Pratt, known for his faith and fame, admitted to years of abuse and addiction. The fallout would be seismic. Now picture that level of shock rocking the Christian music world, because it just did. Welcome to Fame Wave, where truth meets stardom and the headlines don't hold back. Tait, once the electrifying frontman of chart-topping Christian bands DC Talk and Newsboys, has broken his silence in a deeply personal, deeply troubling statement. After multiple accusations of sexual misconduct and drug abuse surfaced, the four-time Grammy-winning singer confirmed that much of what has been reported is, in his own words, sadly, largely true. His confession wasn't vague. It wasn't defensive. It was raw. For some 2 decades, I used and abused cocaine, consumed far too much alcohol, and at times touched men in an unwanted, sensual way, Tait posted to his Instagram on June 10th. This follows an explosive expose by the Roy's Report, a Christian news outlet, which detailed disturbing claims from over 50 sources, including 3 men who say Tait made non-consensual advances toward them in their early 20s. "I am ashamed," he wrote. "I make no excuses." That's not something we often hear from public figures, especially in religious spaces where image, message, and personal behavior are tightly interwoven. Tait didn't just lead music, he led millions in worship. And now he's grappling publicly with the weight of a double life he says nearly destroyed him. In his post, Tait took full responsibility. "I will simply call it what God calls it. Sin," he wrote. "I don't blame anyone or anything but myself." The artist, now 59, stepped away from the Newsboys in January 2025. At the time, few knew why. Now he says it was because he was not healthy, physically or spiritually, and needed help. He spent 6 weeks in a treatment center in Utah, where he began what he describes as the hardest but most important recovery journey of his life. "It may have saved my life from ultimate destruction," he admitted. Tait claims he's been clean and sober since. But sobriety doesn't erase the pain. "I will live with the shameful reality the rest of my life," he said, referring to the damage he's caused, particularly to those who trusted him, admired him, or, most tragically, were victimized by him. "I can only dream and pray for human forgiveness," he wrote, "because I certainly don't deserve it." The fallout has been swift. Just days after the report's release, Tait's former bandmates issued a public statement. "Our hearts were shattered," the Newsboys wrote on Instagram. "First and foremost, our hearts are with the victims who have bravely shared their stories. If you are a victim, we urge you to come forward." They emphasize that the band absolutely does not condone any form of sexual assault. It's a clear effort to distance themselves from Tait's actions and to support those who have been affected. The timeline of the accusations, spanning from 2004 to 2014, reveals a decade of unchecked behavior. That period saw Tait at the height of his fame within the Christian music scene, leading stadiums in songs about light, faith, and redemption. Behind closed doors, a different story was unfolding: the dual life dilemma. In his apology, Tait acknowledged this contrast directly. "I've lived 2 distinctly different lives," he said. "I have hurt so many people in so many ways." For those familiar with his music, lyrics about divine love and moral integrity now feel tainted by the weight of these revelations. Still, Tait says his faith remains, though it's now wrapped in humility and uncertainty. "I have even accepted the thought that God may be the only one who ultimately and completely forgives me," he wrote. It's a sentiment likely to resonate deeply and painfully across the Christian community. This isn't just a celebrity scandal. This is about betrayal in a place where people seek safety. It's about the complexity of redemption, the cost of secrecy, and the courage it takes, both to confess and to come forward as a victim. Where does the church go from here? It's a moment for the Christian music world to reflect, not retreat. If anything, the silence that surrounded these actions for so long points to a broader issue. What happens when platforms outgrow accountability? Tait's confession may be honest. It may even be healing for some. But for others, it's a reminder that image, no matter how polished, cannot protect the truth forever. This is Fame Wave, where no headline goes unchecked and no voice goes unheard. Until next time, stay tuned and stay real.